I've had a couple of sherbs and a little roll up, so this isn't a drunken rant, but it's quite important. Years ago, what were these sticks like?
I want to say the term like cat o' nine tails, but it wasn't that. It wasn't like loads of bits, but it wasn't just one solid stick. Right. It would have like
strands coming.
Yeah.
Were they thick? Were they heavy sticks or?
They were more the sort of sticks that when you were hit with them, instead of like if someone knocked you over the head with a big thick, it would knock you out. It would be a clump. This was more of a sting,
like
whipping,
a cane.
Whipping type of pain.
Mm.
They would then pick up their sticks that they would bring themselves. So when the important people were coming, their barn, which was the biggest barn, they would put the, my grandfather and the satanic minions, I call them, they would put in there like loads of drugs and loads of alcohol and sticks. They just use these, I don't even know it's like wooden sticks, but they're really solid, heavy wood. There was always be, a big bundle of these sticks in the corner. They would always end their session, if you like. They would all go and get one of these sticks, these big, heavy wooden things, and beat us till we were lifeless.
And in respect to cultures and classes and religions and races, were they as diverse, or was there a specific group that looked a specific way that were involved? Who were they? Who are the Satanists, as it were?
Who are the Satanists? I mean, the Satanists that I was abused by were normal families in southwest London that were united in this cult, as I call it. I don't think religion or creed or anything like that even comes into it. So.
Right.
People, they don't deserve that name obviously, but that's what I called it as a child. That I remember were Ted Heath, our ex-Prime Minister, Lord Janner, Cyril Smith, Leon Britton, and Jimmy Savile.
Right. Right, let's start off with rituals. You mentioned rituals. What does a ritual mean? What did you remember about a ritual?
Rituals, I mean, I'm going to generalise because obviously they can come in very varied shapes and sizes. But so, for example, I would be taken to a house, generally local within the sort of area.
Sum it up. Our royals are Satanists.
The people would come in, and the satanic abusers, they would form a huge big circle around me, and various things would happen. But again, for example, there would be a cup passed round that they would sip from.
Right. Do you remember what was in it?
Yeah, blood.
From
yeah.
Where?
I don't know where they would have got that cup full of blood from at the time.
Right.
I witnessed many, I don't know the number, I can't tell you the number, but baby sacrifices. Babies were always sacrificed at every ritual. They would be cut from the throat down to the tummy. Their blood would be drained and it would be drunk.
Look at the reigns list. Look at the names on the reigns list. The names that are in popular life and in politics that are on the reigns list. And this is what they do.
Criminality and policing, never. It's always been a divide. But how comes when myself, Billy Maloney and other decent people reach out? Bill Maloney is an ex-criminal, an ex-victim of the care system. You know, back in the day, a very tasty man, as they would say. He is my best friend.
Victims come forward.
To be or not to be?
To be or not to be?
No.
To be.
After me, wait for me, get your timing, right? Come forward.
Come forward.
Victims, come forward.
Victims, come forward.
To be or not to be? That is the question.
To be or not to be? That is the question.
Now do it on your own.
Victims.
No, again, come forward.
Come forward.
Again, keep saying it. Come
Come
forward.
forward.
Come forward. Keep saying it.
Come forward. Come forward.
Keep saying it.
Come forward.
Now say it quickly.
Come forward.
Come forward. Quickly. Come forward. Come
Come
forward.
forward. Come forward. Come forward. Come forward.
Right now, victims come forward.
Victims come forward.
Victims come forward. Say it fast.
Victims come forward.
Keep going.
Victims come forward. Victims come forward. Victims come forward. Victims come forward.
Now say this. Come forward. Victims come forward.
Come forward. Victims come forward.
To be or not to be, that is the question.
To be or not to be, that is a question.
To be or not to be, that is a question.
To be or not to be, that is a question.
Now, come forward. Victims come forward. To be or not to be, that is the question.
No.
No, come forward.
Come forward. Victims come forward. To be or not to be, that is a question.
Right, we're going to try it like that. If it don't work, then we'll split it up, all right? We've got Andrew's stuff, right? We've got Andrew's stuff. I don't know what fucking song.
Well, you've got some stuff. That's yours, I think. You've got some stuff to play, yeah?
Yeah, I'll show you a little bit of stuff. I'll show you this cunt blowing the fucking... But this geezer, I'll tell you what, I've been playing this cunt, you know what I mean?
That's what I was just saying to him.
I've had this cunt crying on the phone.
You wouldn't believe the conversations he's had with Andrew. You just think, oh my God.
But what I do want to talk about that came out is David Icke. Now, Andrew, you told me that you had sex with David Icke.
Yes.
Where did you have sex with David Icke?
We picked him up from we picked him.
You
I
picked him
picked
up.
up from Amsterdam with film equipment.
I became just nothing. I became abused. I became just cheap. Cheap. Sex is cheap, like just slagging me off, just like selling me to the highest bidder. I was more vulnerable then than I was today because I couldn't read properly or write.
David started making claims about VIP paedophile abuse in 1990. He'd met Chris Fay at a support group, and he says he was encouraged to name names.
I don't know how Chris got me into saying names. It was done over a period of weeks, you know. It was like done as a joke, suggestion to start with, but that suggestion became reality.
David told me he described a distinctive birthmark on one of his abusers.
I scribed a birthmark and a first name and scribed the person, and they said the surname and everything, and says that can only be him. Why should I doubt them?
The man who ended up being named was Leon Britton.
I believed it because I believed that... I don't know. Just believed it. I couldn't say why I believed it. I believed it at the time.
It was 25 years since David had had those conversations. He'd been trying to put his past behind him.
I was doing okay, you know. I weren't doing brilliant, but I was doing okay. And then I was starting to build my life back with my family and everything, and it took years and years and years to do that.
Then 2 years ago, according to David, Chris Fay got back in touch. VIP abuse was in the news again.
He was phoning up every single day. He was phoning up virtually every day, phoning me up like he's talking like he's your best friend, and do everything through me, Chris said. Do everything through me because you can trust me from 1990.
David says Chris Fay wanted him to meet journalists from Exero. They were interested in Dolphin Square, a place he'd first mentioned 2 decades ago.
The conversations we had with Chris Fay on the phone and everything, like stuff like they just wanted to know about Dolphin Square because you'd said it to us, so it's got to be true, and other people had said the same thing.
David says he's provided information for a number of Exero articles.
They'd used all sorts of bits of stuff. I'd said a lot of truths and everything, and when they looked at the truths I'd told them, they matched and everything. Obviously there was stuff odd little bits of stuff which I wasn't sure about.
And then David said something extraordinary. He told me he'd called the police, saying he was worried about Chris Fay putting words in his mouth. The police bugged David's home.
It weren't just a bug, it were a camera. It were proper recording surveillance and everything. And they brought a team down from London, and they filmed my house for about 2 months. A long time.
Panorama understands the police did investigate Chris Fay for a possible attempt to pervert the course of justice over David's claims.
I believe it's time that the truth came out. I believe that it's time that maybe the police could stop putting their efforts into just things that probably aren't even true, you know, in some things, because it's made up just by a few people, you know, for whatever motives or whatever games they've got out of it. I feel guilty for names of people that I've never even said. If my name's been used or I've been the thing, then I'm sorry about that.
Leon Britton died in January this year. On Twitter, a former colleague, John Gummer, described the news as very sad. Tom Watson responded with one word.
Tom Watson has told Panorama that information he's given to the police has led to 3 successful prosecutions. Some victims of child abuse acknowledge MP's good intentions, but also wonder if there's more to it.
I see a lot of politicians stepping forward for these massive exclusives where it's all about the establishment. Do I think that they're inherently bad or dishonest people? No, I don't. Do I think that that some people have used us as a step politically upwards? Yes, I do.
Since Savile, there's no doubt that things have changed. Victims of abuse are now being properly listened to.
The last government have set up the UK's biggest ever public inquiry into this subject area. So I think they have recognised that there is a very serious issue here that we need to get to grips with. The thousands of people that have come forward already and will come forward in the future cannot all be making it up.
But what if some of them are making it up? How do we look after the rights of the accused?
We have to be very careful that the increasing respect that we've accorded to victims doesn't bring in its wake a decreasing respect for the rights of accused people, and I think that's one of the risks, and I think we've been seeing that.
And if the most high-profile police investigation of all, Operation Midland, were to conclude it's not true that men in powerful positions tortured, abused and murdered, what then?
What we've got at the moment is a reaction to the failure to investigate people like Jimmy Savile. And I fear what we may get is a reversion to that, saying it's all been a waste of time and enormous sums of money have been spent on it. We're going to scale it all down and pursue other things. And that means that some genuine victims probably will go uninvestigated and not get any sort of justice.
There's no...
When they did the Panorama thing, they chose the names and everything.
Yeah.
And the voice, I didn't know until they'd done what noise or voiceover or whatever, you know what they're going to do.
I'll bet.
So at about 7 years old, the farm wasn't the only venue. We went on earlier on prior to this, and you was mentioning about a flat you went to, and it was your grandfather's flat. Can we talk about that? Because this was a place of child pornography.
So that was set up for torture, and yeah.
Where in the world was this?
So this was back now in southwest London.
Okay, right.
That his flat was set up. There was two different areas, so it could be two children in one time. But there was always photos being taken and video being used. So that was set up on proper.
What were
filming,
they taking photos or video of?
Me being abused and tortured, suffocated, burnt. Again, hot iron. Pokers.
So these are
everything.
torture videos as well?
They were torture videos every time. This wasn't just I say just but this wasn't, you'd go there, be raped and filmed. This, you'd be tortured.
Can we go on to...
So the underground, the little box was also the grandfather's torture tools. So there was lots of things in there that he would use.
Like what do you remember?
There were things that were used, like hot pokers that were put inside me.
Tasty man, as they would say. He is my best friend, right? How comes I've managed to do it? Bill's managed to do it. We've all managed. Alan's managed to do it. Alan has a disdain for authority and police. But why are me and Alan so close? And we've never fallen out. Sue and all the others in our whole family against injustice still there because we're doing what is right. This is not a...
Chris Fay, F-A-Y-E. He's been charged with preventing the course of justice. If it wasn't for him, we'd have never known about Elm Guest House and the abuse that went in there. If it wasn't for him, there's so many other care homes within South London that he exposed to child abuse in. You know, we attribute it to his bravery and his hard work. And the police, whatever unit it is, has attacked him.
Denigrates. We denigrate me online because they're cowards. And those that denigrate myself, the Beach Home team, Alan Merritt, they are cowards and they have a guilty conscience. We are attacked by paedophiles and their protectors. And we need to show a united front. And
guys, just going live with the incredible John Wedger. And as you can see, we're just in the back streets near New Scotland Yard. There's an important building behind us, like we did with the Beast of the Bell Tower. If you look at the building behind us, it's quite prominent, guys, because John's going to tell us a little bit about the building behind us. Go on, John.
Right. This isn't a drunken rant. However, it's a hot summer's day and I've had a couple of sherbs and a little roll up, so this isn't a drunken rant, but it's quite important.